Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Real Sports Scope on this 10th day of February. Got a great show with you on for tonight. Got Rich Ferris from the Cumulus Sports 1045 The Zone, which is the flagship of the Tennessee Titans. Going to get his thoughts. I wanted to get him on a few weeks ago, but we've had this. Remember, we were covering from a ice storm from a couple of weeks ago. Now it's 70 degrees outside today. It was 77 is a record high in Nashville, but we had some power outage issues, and quite frankly, the whole city was discombobulated. I was too, actually. But anyways, got a great show with you on for the night. Going to give you my thoughts on that Super Bowl. A little bit of a drag, to say the least. A few thoughts on that halftime show. You know, Roger Goodell, you get to the point where the decisions he makes, and I don't know how I want to put it, as far as just taking the core fan, your base, for granted. And you'll be able to see, I'll show you some clips there of what some people off TikTok have put about that halftime show and whatnot, some videos there. But anyways, like I said, real good show. Stand by. We'll take our first on the break. I'll be back here momentarily and hit the ground running here on the Real Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to Sports, that is Sports with an S, another S, Scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program. All righty then, I'm back here live. Wrote some notes down here. Essentially, folks, I'm not here to be a cheerleader for the league. I know it sounds like that way sometimes. Love watching NFL, love watching football when it's high-quality football. But the truth of the matter is the Super Bowl sucked. The halftime show, the clips that I did watch of it, I didn't watch it all the way. That sucked. And unfortunately, nothing against Kid Rock or Charlie Kirk or Turning Point, but that sucked too. I mean, it was just bad all around. and there's just no other way to put it. It's just no other way to put it. But, listen. But back to the game. And I'll go back to the halftime show a little bit afterwards and show some clips and whatnot. I got a little bit more of a take there. But, like I said prior to the game, Drake May, I said he would struggle on the left side of the offensive line. He would struggle in this game because we knew that there were issues on the left side of the offensive line of the New England Patriots and whatnot. We saw it in the Denver game. We saw it in the Houston game. We actually saw it in the first round against the LA Chargers. The only big difference in this game is that the Patriot defense didn't turn over. You look at it, they didn't turn over like a CJ Stroud 5 times. They didn't have a key turnover. Remember, they were going against the backup there in Denver. They were going against Stidham in Denver, and they had a big turnover there, or that they were losing that game. I should have predicted a blowout. I picked the Seattle to win, but I probably should have picked up on this and predicted a blowout. But remember, there was 5 turnovers, and then you go back to the first round and the wild card game. They're playing against a team without 2 tackles, and their defense was playing at a high level, and they played at a high level most of this game, a good chunk of this Super Bowl. I'll talk about the New England defense per se, But the game is still about how I would predict going into the first half. You go into this game at halftime, it's 9-0. Well, the Patriots had the ball back at halftime. I'm telling myself when I'm watching this, okay, after I play back and forth with the halftime shows, I'm going to come back and watch this. But if they go back down there, if the Patriots get the ball and go down and score a touchdown, it's 9-7. It's anybody's game at that point. I said, and I thought, because this is what happened, that Josh McDaniels and Drake May would come up with some way to make the proper adjustments so they can get some success in moving the football and keep it and make this into a ball game. So I thought, yeah, maybe they'll go down, they'll get a touchdown after halftime. Since they did hold Seattle to 3 field goals, this is anybody's game. When they got that ball back at halftime and they went 3 and out, I said, this is over. There is no adjustments to make. That they cannot block these guys. We found out later that later meaning today that Matt Campbell, the left tackle, who's just getting destroyed back there. We found out that he ended up having a torn ligament that he's been dealing with all season, I want to say. I've got it wrote down here. But he has been out. He has had this injury. He has claimed to have had this injury since the regular season. I mean, he was getting killed out there, and I was watching it in real time, looking at it and saying, okay, that's a false start by Campbell. 2 or 3 of them didn't get called later on in the second. I guess McDonald, good for him to call out to the refs and say, hey, listen, this guy's jumping off sides. I mean, they're killing him. He's a rookie. That left guard's a rookie. Even if he does get healthy, probably going to have to move him inside. And try again at that tackle position here, per se. But, that being said, listen, it was a great Super Bowl by McDonald here. The former reporter here, and I got some notes here, and I want to make sure and get this out here. There was a reporter here out of the Ravens. Remember, he was a hire from the Baltimore Ravens. This is only his second year. This is Jamison Hensley, who is a reporter for the Baltimore Ravens. I think he's with ESPN. He says in 2 seasons, the Ravens' Mike McDaniel took over the 25th ranked defense and turned them into the first defense in NFL history to lead the league in points, most sacks, and most takeaways in 2 seasons with Seattle's McDonald, turned Seattle into Super Bowl champion. So, hey, listen, it was great. Good call there. And mind you, this was really about roster construction. Also, John Snyder taking advantage here. John Snyder, the general manager of the Seattle Seahawks, taking advantage of the Russell Wilson trade a few years ago. Jordan Schultz here, reporter, also trust him. His opinion and analysis. He said, and he reported this. I mean, this is just a known fact. John Snyder is the first general manager in history to win multiple Super Bowls with the same organization, while having a whole new head coach and new players from the previous time. I mean, last time they won a Super Bowl was 12-13. So we're talking 12 years ago. Pete Carroll's gone. The Legion of Boom's gone. Russell Wilson's. I mean, the whole new roster here, and he wins another Super Bowl with a totally different crew there, and going past the fact that he had been there over that 10-year rule that Bill Walsh now he's in management, and mind you, he's dealing with a very young coach there, 38-year-old McDonald there, got a new quarterback there, of course, 28-year-old Sam Darnold. It was a very impressive win. I don't think that there was some stats here put out by CBS here. Where'd their defense rank all time? this century, meaning since 2000, points per game. They were better. They were better per points per game than the 2015. I was pretty impressed with that 2015 Denver Bronco defense, but other defenses were better. The Legion of Boom was better at 14.3 yards per game, or points per game, and yards per game. They were better. The Legion of Boom was better. The 2008, just better defenses of the century. 2008 Steelers, 15 points a game, 246 yards. The 2002 Bucks were really good. I was impressed with them, 12 points a game. And the 2000 Ravens, definitely one of the best I've ever seen. I didn't get a chance to really watch the 85 Bears. I was only 4 years old, but they're going to this century. 9.4 points a game, 240 yards a game for the 2000 Ravens. So they're just behind that 2015 Denver Bronco team by 1 point there, or just ahead of them. So they would be essentially they would be a top 5 defense in the past 25 years. So very good defense. Thought they caught some breaks this year. I really thought that the Rams coughed up that game, the second half of that Thursday game, which they shouldn't be playing these Thursday games, but that's another story. Thought they caught a little bit of a break there, playing that home game on Thursday, and I thought that the Rams, if they don't cough up that 15-point lead in the fourth quarter, going back to that one game. This game is played in L.A. The Rams get the bye week. Seattle's got to go on the road and play against a Chicago, perhaps, or a Carolina. They don't get the week off. Then they got to go back down to L.A. And I think it's a different outcome. I really do. And it's the San Francisco 49ers didn't have all the injuries. They're playing in this game. They were my preseason pick. But hey, listen. They stayed healthy. They had enough depth. Kudos to John Snyder, but I'm just giving you my honest assessment of it. And as far as the New England Patriots, that was a bad call going back to the Denver game, but Buffalo, that was a bad call there. Brandon Cooks caught that football, and that was a first down at the 20-yard line. That's a likely field goal there. The Bills probably go up to New England to win that game. Then you got a Bills-Rams. You got a much, much better Super Bowl than this particular Super Bowl. But it is what it is. This year has been an off year. It's been a bad year, if you ask me. There's way too many injuries. You got Burrow didn't make it. He got injured. You got the injuries. And, of course, the reconstruction needed with Patrick Mahomes. And, of course, he ended up getting injured anyways. He was not in it. Lamar Jackson, they can't get it right with there in Baltimore. He was not in it. So it was just an off year, per se. The 49ers got all their injuries. They couldn't get back in it. It was just one of those years. You had some dysfunction there with the Philadelphia Eagles. And the Seahawks took advantage and, had a very light, one of the easier schedules in the league was that New England Patriot team that only had about 4 wins the week before that, or they picked, I think they might have had 3 wins. They picked 4th in the draft, and that's where they got that Matt Campbell. So don't consider them all-time team. I do think that it's a fast roster. Maybe they're better next year. Who knows? They got some cap space to work with there. But I don't want to take nothing away from Sam Darnold. Like I said before this game, persevering through his setbacks. I mentioned what he went through with the Jets. I mentioned him bouncing around the league, never losing his confidence. But we'll see. It's very interesting the way that all paid out. Guy got quite a bit of money for these incentives. Sam Darnold's contract here, $500,000 for 4,000 yards, $500,000 for 67.5 completion percentage, $500,000 for a playoff berth, $500,000 divisional win, $500,000 conference, and a one more million additional $4 million extra for a Super Bowl win. Kudos to him. Kudos to him. The first quarterback standout from that 2018 class I talked about to win the Super Bowl. And a few years in, he looked like the biggest bust there, him and Josh Rosen. So much for that. And listen, that defense I just, talked about, Seattle, 6 sacks, 3 turnovers, and a pick 6, and a partridge in a pear tree. Great win there for them. Don't want to take that away. But going back to as far as the offensive line issues and whatnot for the New England Patriots in this game particularly, I've said it before and I'll say it again, and I want to be clear. That was that you saw last year. These are 2 bad Super Bowls, 2 years in a row. These were bad Super Bowls, okay? And they both had the same issue. At the snap of the ball, it looks like the defense is in the backfield. I mean, just no blocking up front whatsoever. There is a major, major fall off in the NFL from starting right tackle, left tackle to backup right tackle, left tackle. We've seen it. We've seen it with the Charger team. Look how good they would have been if they would have had starters there. They could have possibly been in the Super Bowl if their tackles would have stayed healthy. But I'd much rather, and to take a tackle, right tackle, left tackle in the first round or pay them the big money rather than take that flashy wide receiver any day. That is prime examples of that. And also, like I said a few weeks ago with the Chicago Bears, bringing in Joe Thuney, they lost their left tackle. Their left tackle wasn't there. So they put Joe Thuney at left tackle, a guard they paid big money to, and they were at least competitive. Well, they won 2 games, or won a game. They were competitive, though, with the L.A. Rams and had a very good shot to win that game at the very end. But, you put a normal backup in there, and it's a major fall off. So, I said this then, I'll say it now. Back in the 21 season, the 22 season with the Cincinnati Bengals, if the Bengals if they take Penei Sewell over Jamar Chase, the Cincinnati Bengals win the Super Bowl that year. They beat that Ram team. It's just they already had T. Higgins. It made no sense. It made 0 sense. You want to sell fantasy? It's great for fantasy football. It's great to sell tickets, and I know that's what they said. Well, they're just trying to appease Burrow because they played together in college. I thought it was nonsense. I thought it was BS. I think that they drafted him to sell tickets, and they got the Super Bowl anyways with that line. But if you had a guy like a Sewell there, maybe Aaron Donald does not get to a Joe Burrow there. But this Super Bowl was a prime example of that. You draft them higher, I'm more likely to, if the guy's healthy, to extend an offensive lineman over a wide receiver any day of the week. That's just prime example. You have no chance if your quarterback is snapping the ball and the defense is in the backfield like that. And the games are unwatchable when the line plays that bad. When it's that bad, these games are, like I said, I followed on my phone because I do this show, I'm an analyst, but I turned that game off. When they went 3 and out like that in the second half, that first drive, I said, this is over. There is no adjustment. They cannot block these guys, So I'm a little bit actually overboard. I get the rambling. But anyways, so about that god-awful halftime show, Roger Goodell, it's about time there's more changes that need to be done in the NFL. Quite a few, but Roger Goodell, it goes on him. He hired Jay-Z. I like Jay-Z, Live Nation, all that. But listen, you want a guy to speak, and I love my Spanish friends. Carlos speaks, but he's from Colombia. A few ex-girlfriends were Spanish. Guys I work with, Spanish speakers. Love Spanish. Want to learn Spanish. Wish I had more time in a day to learn Spanish. but this is an American sport here. Most of the country here, I think it's like 80 something percent of what I want to say speaks English. I think it's 13% or something like that speaks Spanish. This is still an American game. The Bad Bunny thing was a colossal failure from that perspective. Here's a few clips that I got off of TikTok here of people just showing this, just totally disengaged, disinterested in the halftime show, which is you've got hundreds of millions of people watching this, and you don't want to tick off your fan base like that. Look at this.
I mean, like, who is this man? Golly. He can't sing. I mean, like, what is this? Golly. This is ridiculous. And you got the American flag and all these other flags. And yeah, God bless you too. Get off the stage. Please get off the stage. Get off. Put the game back on. I can't stand this. Tell me that. I mean, what in the world is all this foolishness?
So Grandma didn't like it. Look at these fans here at a restaurant when the halftime show comes on. Look how disinterested.
Quieren quitarme el río y también la playa, quieren el valle mío y que abuelita se vaya. No, suelte la bandera y olvídate el lindo life. Quiero que hagan contigo lo que has bajado.
Yeah, and I had another video of people in the stadium just looking at it like, what is this guy saying here? I mean, it's just they're putting. I understand you want to build the game globally, and we've got all these overseas games and whatnot. I've done Uber on the side here. I've talked to international people who's been at some of these games. I think there was one in Dublin. Some of my riders tell me at Dublin. But at the expense of doing all this stuff, you're really abandoning your fan base. You know, you're taking your fan base for granted, Roger Goodell, when you do that. And I had another clip of him with the bad look when some of the sexual suggested things that he was doing, Bad Bunny was doing, also in this concert. Or this halftime show. It's just it was a bad move, you know. And I mentioned, you know, the turning point thing. Just not a fan of country music. Kid Rock was okay. Didn't care for that one either. Just get back and get a real American singer. I know people don't like Taylor Swift, but enough people do. Do somebody like that. Do a Taylor Swift, you know. Go back to a Beyonce. Go back to people who can actually sing, not rappers. And I love rap too. But yeah, this is 2 years in a row of listen. For Kendrick Lamar was fine, but he's not good for this particular setting either. He was awful. So that's 2 years in a row. We've had two bad Super Bowls. And then we've had two bad halftime shows, if you ask me. But I thought that was pretty funny. An old woman's like, get this man. Man, he's terrible. So grandmother just being totally authentic there. Let me make sure I got my questions here. But anyways, it is what it is. Kudos to Seattle. Defense really played well. One of the top five in the past of this decade. Now we're going up to 25 years of data there. That's pretty good. Top five in this, and no really mega stars. Although Witherspoon's pretty good on that defense. Not quite the Legion of Boom, but hey, they were quick. They took care of business there, you know. And I'm waiting. I've got Rich Ferris coming on here pretty soon. Here also, there was some other news here about James Pierce, the former ball player and former or current Atlanta Falcon, first round pick. Man, he got arrested. I'll try to cover that and detail here in the next day or two. But I do want to talk a little bit of the Tennessee Titans hire, which I had ranked as one of my better hires here when I did the top rankings of the coaching hires of this cycle, 10 hires here. Rich Ferris here from the Titans Cumulus Radio Flagship 104.5, The Zone here. Good to see you again, brother. Hope all is well with the power situation and everything.
Yeah, it was a little crazy there for a bit. My power was out for a minute and then came back on a few days later, but luckily everything in the house was cool. But yeah, it was pretty stressful there for a few days.
Yeah, it was for everybody. I lost some for a few hours. I know there's trees did you have any tree problems in your house or anything?
Yeah, a little bit. Had to kind of clean that up, but yeah, luckily nothing crazy, just a bunch of limbs and stuff, having to clean out the yard and you know, spent about half the day this weekend just doing that.
Yeah, well, we're blessed to have a 77-degree temperature day today.
Yeah, it's super nice today.
Yeah. So what's your initial thoughts, man, of this Robert Saleh hire? And I couldn't wait to talk to you about this. Initially, what's your thoughts of him when that news broke a couple of weeks back, man?
Yeah, I mean, I was excited. He's definitely somebody that everybody looks at as a leader, as a guy that can really be that voice and be that energy that can feed the team a little bit.
Yeah.
I think, and I've told several people this, it takes a special person to be a head coach in the NFL, and you have to be somewhat of a alpha male type where you are a leader of men type and people come to you and respect you and hold you to that regard. And, I think this is kind of hey, we tried something different, and now we're kind of looking at going back to having somebody that was similar to Vrabel in a way, that has the same kind of coaching style. I'm excited. He was somebody that was in kind of my top 3 of candidates when this all started, and I'm glad that he's here, and I think that he'll be great. Looks like he's put a pretty good staff together on paper, and we got lucky in bringing in Brian Daboll and keeping some good coaches that I thought what I would hope that would have got retained, with Bones Fossil as a special teams coach, Randy Jordan running backs coach, and Luke Stocker, the tight ends coach. So glad those guys stuck around, and then bringing in some of the guys that Robert Saleh has worked with before. Also getting Gus Bradley in as the DC. So you have a ton of coaching experience where the staff before didn't really have as much. So now you have, I think it was like almost triple the amount of experience in coaching than you had in the previous staff.
That's it. That's really interesting there. When he hired the ball, the ranking that I had for this hire, and then remember we had 10. We've had 10 coaches to get hired in this cycle.
Yeah,
they went all the way up to number 2 for me, man. When you put and by the way, I don't know if you've read this, but the last year he was with the Jets, Robert Saleh, their defense was 3rd overall.
Yeah, he's always had a good defensive rank, and I'm excited to see what they do with the defense. It's going to be a little bit of a different scheme. So I'm interested to see some of the pieces that are staying. Obviously, Jeffrey Simmons, I'm excited about that. He's excited about that. That was kind of the coach that he wanted to get here, and Yeah, I think the defense is going to be great because I mean I feel like the Titans have a they got stripped down to the bare bones
Yeah,
almost this past season and are
did.
building it back up, and now you have a rookie class and a two rookie classes that are pretty solid um, that have got a lot of starting experience, and now you can add on to a big free agency with one of the most money salary cap available, and
Yeah,
you have a defensive minded coach that's successful in everywhere that he's been, even though his head coaching tenure wasn't great, but there was a lot of good things about those that I think the thing that really doomed him was the year that Aaron Rodgers, that was supposed to be like their year, gets hurt on the first series and
yeah,
is out for the season. So that entire season was a wash, and then the next year just all came apart. But I think this go round, I think that it's going to be a lot different, and I think that he's one of those coaches that was young enough to understand what went wrong and is going to change that, and took that to get the next opportunity and learn from all those any of those mistakes.
yeah. Where would you rank this one as far as the hires? I didn't. I should have asked it like that. I put it
Oh,
at
I got you.
yeah. I put it only behind John Harbaugh going to the Giants. What would you?
Let's
But those
see
are
if I
the hires.
ranked.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean John Harbaugh is a big one.
yeah.
Let me think. I'm
Because of
trying
this.
to remember all the hirings because
Yeah,
you got it. I think Atlanta might. I mean Kevin Stefanski. I wasn't really that big on Stefanski, but I think
yeah,
him going to Atlanta is pretty good. I actually think McCarthy going to the Steelers is pretty good too.
yeah.
Um,
Same here. I had that one up here.
let's see, what am I missing? Miami,
Hart,
Miami.
yeah. Halfley
Yeah, you
from
got Halfley, which I'm not. There's a lot of like half of these hires are brand new guys, first time head coaches, so that's always kind of dicey. I mean, um, the mentor guy, he's where at Baltimore.
yeah. Now he's got a lot of hype coming out too.
Yeah, yeah, I would think in the top three there because
Yeah,
I would say the Giants and Atlanta and the Titans probably had
yeah,
um they definitely had the and the Steelers. I think they went around and got the veteran coaches that
yeah,
were out there, and so um you know you could have said so you could have ranked this a couple years ago when McDonald was hired. He just won a Super Bowl.
yeah,
You could have said as a Titans fan in hindsight, oh, I wish we would have hired him instead of Brian Callahan 2 years ago. Um, so it's hard to say like some of these first time head coaches what will come of it because you just had one win the Super Bowl.
yeah. I think I had Kubiak up there high for the Raiders because of his
Mm.
situation. Uh,
I think another thing you always got to take into factor too is what organizations you're going to.
yeah,
Somebody like the Browns are always meddling. Their ownership's always meddling. Something's always off there. Same
yeah,
thing a little bit with the Jets. I could say that. Same thing with the Raiders.
yeah. Cowboys.
Miami to an extent, as they seem like they're always meddling and getting involved where, you would hope that they wouldn't as much sometimes and kind of let things play out a little longer. But, a lot of people want to criticize Amy Adams Strunk for doing the same thing, but I don't think it's anywhere near the level of some of these teams, like especially the Browns of with the Haslams meddling and doing things and ticking people off and whatnot. So yeah, I think I would definitely put it in the top three. It's kind of hard to say exactly where though.
Yeah, that's true. And something, a lot of it is situational too, especially if you got a quarterback that feels like the situation with the Raiders, man, with Kubiak. Uh,
Hmm.
you put him with the Mendoza, and they're second behind the Titans with all that money with
Yeah.
Bowers and Genty. That looks like a potential home run for the first time. That's the most optimistic I've been about that organization since Rich Gannon going back to 2002. Although they got beat in that Super
Yeah,
Bowl.
you hope if they take Mendoza that they got a lot of talent they've collected with not being great and drafting early.
Yeah.
Um, So you hope that a good coaching staff, and that's one thing I'm kind of left to be seen is Tom Brady's involvement with all this. Like, how much is that really helpful or hurtful? But
Yeah.
I think for them that's there's a lot of it's kind of hard to get worse, really. So you hope that with all the stuff the talent that you've collected and the new coaching staff is able to get it all together.
Yeah, that's true. We talk about the ball, and I think the big question about him is keeping the ball there and not losing him in 1 year. I don't know if you heard about this or read this, but Brian Flores with Minnesota, they're paying him $6 million a year to be their defensive coordinator. You got to wonder if Amy Adams would offer a big salary like that in case one of these jobs come open next year where it's so close where the ball may not take it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Where it's like maybe like a Saints or somebody, or not a Saints, but maybe a Tampa Bay or somebody.
Hmm.
What are your thoughts about that? Paying a coordinator practically head coach money, and like some of these first time head coaches make about 6 to 8 million. What do you
Yeah.
think about the idea of that? Keeping a guy like the ball?
I think if it's working,
Yeah,
you pay you pay what you get. I mean, I think it's worth. Um, yeah, I think it would be worth it to maintain, especially for a young quarterback, if this next season is a big success,
yeah,
which also gives him opportunities to go elsewhere. But I think that was the biggest, one of the biggest things that stood out to the Titans organization in hiring Robert Saleh is he had a plan. Whether, hey, if I get a person in here that's going to stick here for a year, get a head coaching job, here's my plan B and C for when this
yeah,
person leaves, and so on. So I think that he was so prepared with a plan. That's what landed him the job here. And I think that there's a few people on the staff that they're putting together that could potentially down the road be a OC. And one thing that I've noticed in this head coaching cycle, with
yeah,
it being so many, there were still a lot of candidates and defensive coordinators, offensive coordinators that were in the mix that decided, hey, I'm going to go stick with being a DC or an OC
yeah,
and not worry about head coaching jobs. You've seen there was plenty that turned down the Browns, and I think a couple turned down the Raiders to go be in the same position as or even some of them stepping down like Mike McDaniel's, going from a head coaching and had some opportunities to going back to being an OC. So
yeah.
there may
That was
be.
one of
It
the better
really
hires.
depends on.
Yeah,
It really depends on what's available. So for somebody like Dayball, he may get some opportunities that may not be better than where he is already. And so I hope that there's some continuity and he sticks around for a little while if it's successful. But I understand if he gets opportunities, it's kind of a good and bad thing because if he leaves, but he's leaving because the season was good. So it's kind of bittersweet in a way.
yeah. I really hope that he knows what he's doing, Salif, with hiring that in-house guy because but then again he's from that 49er tree, which has also got some ties to the Rams. Those guys seem to hit the Rams seem to hit home runs every single time with assistance. But the flip side is you look at a Detroit, you look at a Philadelphia. There may be one more out there that I'm missing where they've hired in-house guys.
Hmm.
Tampa, where they hired an in-house guy and had to fire them.
Yeah.
The very next year. That's my biggest fear, and I think that's really a lot of the Titans fans' fears, if you ask me.
Yeah. I mean, it's always a fear, but I think you look at what just has happened over the last two seasons, it seems like everything's in place to be better than the last two seasons. And really, that's the first thing you can hope for is that you're just
Yeah,
better. And so
yeah,
I think the people that are in place, there's a lot of experience there. I think, there should be a pretty decent year next year. And it'll be interesting to see what they do in the draft and free agency.
yeah. That's true, and I think I want to say we've got the free agency coming up in about a month
Yeah.
from today.
The combine is in 2 weeks. So
Yeah,
Senior Bowl just wrapped up. The NFL schedule never ends. They've made it such a 365 in the news feed, uh, which I love. But because the offseason can sometimes be fun, especially for a team like the Titans that are rebuilding.
It's going to be a lot of fun. You know something, without knowing what they're going to do in free agency, I think that there's a chance this team, I don't think it's out of the realm of saying that they could be like a Carolina this past year, where they slide in to the playoffs as a wild card or slide in as a 9 win or 10 win team with the right breaks. What do you
Yeah.
think about a possibility of having them kind of expectations, even though we know this is a tough division, man, and the conference is getting tougher as well?
Yeah, I mean that's the goal. It's always going to be the expectations as any team when they start the
Yeah,
season is playoffs, and we once we get into the playoffs, let's
anything to
try to
happen.
get as far as you can go.
Yeah, yeah. Wouldn't you? I wouldn't put it out of the question. Now, of course, we got to wait and see how these things play out. Um, do you see them maybe moving? I was talking about this with Matt New Yorker the other day. Uh, Jeffrey Simmons is 29. I mean, all pro year. I mean, what do you think? The idea of even trading him and maybe building around the Sweat. What do you think What do you think they could get for a guy like that right now?
I don't think either side wants to move
Yeah,
or do a trade. I think if there was a time to do it, it would have been this year.
yeah,
Now that you're moving forward, I think Jeff is so invaluable that you may not be able to get the compensation you want for the value that he's going to give, not only on the field but in the locker room,
okay,
and especially you need a with a new head coach to lean on some of these senior guys. I think Jeffrey Simmons, when you kind of look back at this season, a lot of people need to give him so much credit at not only being great on the field but great in the locker room, stepping up as a leader and being
yeah,
that guy that everybody looks to as when you think Tennessee Titans, you think Jeffrey Simmons, you think Cam Ward, and both of those guys are leading on the different sides of the ball. And I think you have to keep Jeffrey Simmons around. I even say while you have the money, maybe even give him a little extension
yeah,
to go ahead and say, hey, we want you to stick around and possibly retire here. And I know that's what his goal is. I've heard him personally say this several times that he wants to, have his entire career in Tennessee. And
yeah,
I don't think you could get rid of a guy like that right now.
yeah, yeah. I think they can get a lot. He's got 4 good years. I want to say he's got another year left on this contract. So it would be a good idea either move him or extend him. Something will be done with Simmons, my prediction. And I'm
Yeah,
gonna
I think you got to give him a contract extension. Like I said, I don't think there's going to be the compensation that they will receive in order to get and be able to replace what he's leaving behind. And I don't
yeah,
think either party wants anything to do with that at all.
yeah, yeah. That's food for thought, man.
Especially a defensive guy like Robert Sala, who's coming in knowing that I have an All-Pro D tackle.
yeah,
I need that guy because his success also rides on that too. So I just I'd never say never, but I don't think that that's going to happen.
yeah. It would take a ton. I would say 2 first-round picks and like maybe 4 picks total. That's what I told Carlos. There's no way I'd just ask for 1 first-round pick for a
But
guy.
I don't think any team would give that up either. I don't. I just don't
Yeah,
think. I don't think you go after a veteran and use that much capital
yeah,
in a D tackle. I mean, I just don't think that there's, like I said, there's going to be compensation that's going to be valuable enough for him.
yeah.
What he means to
Me neither. If
Tennessee.
you can't give something big like that, there's no way I would take it because this is the way I see it now. I think that a lot of these general managers, and a lot of them are starting doing this, they're looking at time frames in shorter time frames rather than 5 years, 3 years, 4 years. He's good for another 4 years. Well, that's your window right there.
Yeah,
You can't look past that amount of time
yeah.
if you ask me. And
Yeah, I
just
mean, I think it's getting shorter and shorter. I think 3 years is like that's the leash. Is you if you're
yeah,
a new head coach, you have 3 years. Sometimes that don't happen. That didn't happen with Brian Callahan, so that hasn't happened for a lot of coaches around the league. I mean, there's been a lot of one and dones or 2 years and out or a year and a half and out
yeah.
over the
But I think
last
it's
5
contract
years.
players too. Uh, I'm saying a guy like him, if you know he's good for 4 more, and I think he probably would be good. He'll just be 29 this year, so him. I think he'd be good for 3 or 4 more years. I mean,
Well, I
I,
mean, I
I
wouldn't even look at it that far down the road. You need him now. You need him for next season. You need him to be that leader. You're building a team. He's
yeah,
the leader. He's the lead dog, and on especially on the defense, you need a guy to set the culture, and he's the
yeah.
perfect guy for that. And you need him to teach all these young players and be a role model, which he is doing, and I think he's loved doing that this season.
Yeah, yeah, and people. I've read some articles about players that Tennessee made trade for, and there was there's a surplus of receivers with the Bears, and you look at a guy like a DJ Moore, and he's another guy. He's about 28, 29, and people say, well, he's late in his career. No, listen, that's again with that 3 and 4 year deal. If you can get a guy like that for 3 years, I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't put that out of question to maybe offer one of these picks, maybe 2 5s or a 4 for a DJ Moore. What do you think about adding that to help him out with the Cam Ward? Somebody like that.
Somebody that's played for Coach Salah I like a lot more with Garrett Wilson in New York in the Jets.
Oh, really?
I would much rather target somebody like that. That's a borderline really good receiver. He's really young. He may have to give up some capital, but this class of free agents, wide receivers, isn't really that great. There's not really any true number ones, and the ones that like a George Pickens and that are at the top of this free agency market are probably going to get franchise tagged or
Yeah.
even them on that team isn't the number one receiver. So there's not really anybody in wide receiver wise in free agency that's just this shining star that you go break the bank for. But there are a lot of good like number two guys that maybe could step into a number one role. There's a
Yeah.
lot of guys that are, you know, right there, number two, number three, that you could pick up and be very helpful for your team without having to spend a ton of money. But there's also going to be some decent receivers in this year's draft, and I would say that despite the Titans having a lot of cap space to spend, I still think that their core is going to build through the draft.
Me too, man. Yeah, I totally agree with that. What's your thoughts on this Super Bowl, man? I know it was kind of a snooze fest, but I just trashed it for about 20 minutes. What do you think about this?
I didn't think it was a snooze fest. I thought it was a if you like look at the defensive part of the game, it was great. I mean, the first half, it wasn't obviously it was a what 9-0 halftime
Yeah,
score, but the defensive part of it was fun. I think it's very unfortunate for Mike Vrabel, which I still like Mike Vrabel, and I
me
was
too.
kind of hoping for his success,
Amen.
despite
Me too.
being a Titans guy. But it just seemed like that offense could not do anything. But his defense was keeping them in the game as long as they could. But that offense and the young guys on their offense just could not do anything in that game, and it was kind of hard to watch from that front.
Yeah, yeah. Matt Campbell. They claim he had some type of injury. It got disclosed today. That was the left tackle. But this is what I was telling the audience: is man, it's not sexy in air quotes. It's not sensational, but man, I take that tackle over that flashy wide receiver any day. And you look at this past Super Bowl. You look at last year's Super Bowl where they just could not block the front. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I told the audience this when it was 9-0. I said, okay. I said this to myself after I watched a little bit of both of those halftime shows, which I thought they were both were terrible. But I said, New England's got the ball back. If they can go down and score, get a touchdown, make it 7-9, then you got anybody's game. When
Yeah.
they went 3 and out like that,
Yeah.
I thought, okay, because Josh McDaniels and Drake May, they'll stew up something. They'll come up with some way to move the ball and score. But when they went 3 and out, I said, okay, I turned the thing off and I just watched the rest of it on my phone, brother. I mean, you could see where it was going. It's really hard. And I'm a diehard guy. I've got thousands invested in this program. But, man, it's hard to watch it when you just cannot block that front like that. It kind of reminded me of the Titans. Remember when we were going through some issues where the offensive line was falling apart? I think it was Mike Vrabel's last year.
Yeah.
And you're giving the ball to Derrick Henry, and he's getting a half a yard every play. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I mean, the championships are won in the trenches for sure. I mean, if you have success blocking up a defensive front or your defensive line is disrupting, I mean, that's the game right there. So yeah, I think the Patriots young guys there were just getting outmatched, and those veterans were taking advantage, and it's kind of crazy because Drake May was almost the MVP this year, and he looked horrible in this game. I think he was one of the worst rated quarterbacks that's ever played in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Who did you pick pre Super Bowl to win it?
I was picking the Pats because I thought Mike Vrabel would have this team so well prepared, which he did, but there's only so much you can prepare for, and then actually executing is on the players. So, I was kind of just pulling for the Pats a little bit, but the Seahawks winning is something different. For the league, I know this is their second championship in about 11 or 12 years or so.
Yeah.
And then they lost 2 in the last 20. So, it's kind of, probably, great for that region of fans and things like that, where it's not the Chiefs, it's not the Patriots. So yeah, I think it's good for the game that, it shows anybody can win it.
Yeah. But going back to that Super Bowl and Drake May, if you look at it, he really didn't play well in any of these games. But the fact that the Patriots got turnovers, we go back to the wild card round.
Yeah.
I mean, they were going against an offensive line and the Chargers that had 2 tackles out. And his defense had won it. Then you go to the next game, the Patriot defense got 5 turnovers off of C.J. Stroud, 5 interceptions. And then you go up to the AFC Championship game, they got the key turnover there to Stidham or whatever, with that interception or whatever. The key turnover there turned that into a touchdown. The difference in this game is Sam Darnold didn't turn it over, And it's just a total rout. I did pick Seattle to win, but Carlos, he'll be bragging because he did pick Seattle to win double digits. But he's going to hammer me just because I picked Seattle 24-20 and not a 16-point game, which it was the total rout.
I definitely thought that Seattle had the better team overall, though, going into this. I just had this weird feeling like, Mike Vrabel has never lost a Super Bowl that he's been in. So, I was kind of thinking this guy's going to do everything he can to win this game. And if he would have had just a little bit more success on offense, he probably could have, because their defense was playing great.
They played well. If you look back at it,
Christian Gonzalez was playing. I mean, that's some of the best cornerback play I've seen in a long time.
It really was. And the fact is, the Darnold did almost turn it over a few times. And you can hear Collinsworth saying, man, he's putting him in a close window. You can hear him say it. And I thought, yeah, you're right. He's going to eventually turn it over. They're going to get a special teams play.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
It just never happened, man.
Yeah.
So plug your show, brother. I appreciate you coming on tonight, man. You got a podcast. I'm sure you guys are going to dig a deep dive.
Oh, yeah. We'll definitely talk Super Bowl and everything involved, commercials, halftime shows, all that stuff. Big Ten Rich Big Tan and Rich on, you can search us on Spotify, Apple, all those platforms. And we talking that and talking a little pop culture stuff around the Super Bowl and we got some TV shows we've been talking about too. So
what's your TV shows that you guys dig into? I may take it.
We talk a little bit of some Marvel shows. There's a new one out right now called Wonder Man that we're looking into. Watching Fallout season 2. The new Game of Thrones show. I can't think of the name of it. That's on HBO. We've been reviewing those. I know Paradise season 2 is about to come out, so yeah, we'll be talking a little bit about that. And when we get into the non-football season, that's a lot of stuff we get into. Is a lot of pop culture things and all that kind of stuff. March Madness will be big with us. With basketball heating up now that football season's wrapping up.
Yeah, I tell you what, man, I would talk about that Thursday with the Mad New Yorker. I think that and we may have to do a Final Four show. I don't know, like a guest the Final Four panel if you might want to do that. That's food for thought. Get the two shows together. I got a sense, man, and I found myself watching more college basketball these last 2 years than the previous 20. You just get a sense that it's at a place now that it hasn't been at in a long time. The quality, dude, is so good.
Oh yeah, yeah.
College basketball, man. I don't know who the best team is, but there's a lot of good teams out there. Yeah,
there's a lot of good teams, and I need to dive more into it to be more knowledgeable about this season. It was fun last season, especially being kind of an SEC guy, of how good the SEC was, and going to the SEC tournament here in Nashville was a lot of fun, and I mean it was a really good tournament. So hope to see that again, and hopefully we'll have a really cool March Madness as we typically do, and I think it's been really good over the last few years, and I'm excited to see who comes out on top.
Yeah, it's exciting. Kansas looks good. Houston, St. John's knocked out Connecticut the other day. I mean, and these games are highly, highly competitive, man.
Yeah.
And a lot of pros. The Duke has got Boozer's son. We watched Carlos Boozer in 2001.
Yeah.
I mean, time going by quick. Rich Ferris, everybody. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you coming on. Let me have it. Appreciate you coming, man. Hey, have a good night, buddy.
You too, man. Thanks for having me.
All right, see ya. All right, everybody. I'll try to be back here probably Thursday. I think I'm going to replay this show Wednesday. I still got some other work to do. But if you like the show, share the show. I'll be back Thursday, going back and forth with the Mad New Yorker. Got a few other things I'm going to dig in with him. So you all have a good night. I'll see you same time, same place here on The Real Sports.